Okay, in my previous tutorial, we have seen how to create a Spring Boot project and add the dependencies and adding values to the application properties, as well as adding a controller, REST controller, and executing it. We have created one method, test method. So today we'll see all the other HTTP methods like get, post, put, delete, and also we'll see how to return an object in JSON format and also in XML format. Okay, let's get started. So I'll just quickly create new project, Spring Starter project. I'll mark it as API2, let it be, and rest of the things I'll keep it as it is. So I need Spring Boot Dev Tools and Spring Web. Apart from this, as of now, I don't need anything. Okay, I'll just click on next, finish. Okay, now our project is ready. As you can see, we have resources folder in which application properties is there. And also we have a at Spring Boot application wherein start executing from this point. Okay, so let us go ahead and create one controller. I'll just change the packages. I'll just add few more packages saying that com.gravejava.app. Public controller. Okay. So I'll create one student controller, class student controller. Okay, great. We have created now one student controller and we'll annotate with test controller. Okay, we'll write simple method, public string welcome return welcome to my student API, something like this. So we'll have to annotate with at get mapping. As we are using only get, we need to annotate with get mapping. Let us run this application. I'll just say run as Spring Boot app. Okay. So I think we have rearranged this and put this back. Okay. So as you can see from the console, the Tomcat initialized with the port 8080. You can change this port number to 8090, and by using application properties. I have explained that in my previous video. Please go through it before coming here. Okay, so let us go to browser and say localhost 8080. Okay, so yeah, welcome to my student API. So that is what I have written here. Okay, let us go on to the other HTTP methods. So first what we'll do, we'll create one object, Pojo object, student. Let us go here and create new package, say com.gravejava.app.model. So in this, we'll create one more class called student. Okay, let's click on finish. So we'll write few variables, private int student ID, private int first name, sorry, string first name, private string last name, private int age, private string, one more field I'll be adding, which is email. Okay, great. So now we have created all this variable. Let us create getters and setters, and as well as constructor and toString method. So the Eclipse shortcut is Alt Shift and S, and we can use constructor using fields. I've selected everything, generate, and we probably need nogs constructor as well. So we'll write that as well. Okay, and we'll generate getters and setters. Again, Alt Shift and S. I'll select all, and we'll also write toString method, override toString method. Okay. So yeah, now we have our Pojo ready. Let us start writing our controller. Okay. Now a simple method will write. We'll just get all the students. Okay. Okay. Public. I'll public. I'll say list student get all students. I'll import this list as well as java.util.list, and student we have already written. Okay, get all students. So basically what I'll be doing, I'm not using any database as of now for this basic tutorial. In subsequent tutorials, I'll be telling you how to, get it from the database and store it in the database and everything using MySQL. So for the basic knowledge, let us go through the list. I mean, we'll create a list, we'll add it, we'll remove from the list, and we'll display the list. Okay, I'll just create array list, private list of students as equal to, okay, I'll just create a student controller constructor, which is public student controller. In this, I'll be initializing this students as equal to new array list of, let's mark it as student. Okay, I'll be creating the new student, and I'll say students dot add. Let's say some colon. This is a new student. Hope you're understanding all these things. I'll say one. So I have this in my previous tutorial. So I'll just copy paste that initialization. Okay. So let's close this project. Just not to confuse. Okay. So for the students list, I have array list. I have added few values like first student number one with Eva and Jacob, and this is the age, and this is the email ID. So I have added 5 students here. Okay. Let us go ahead and just return this. Return students. Okay. Great. Now, as this is a get mapping, I'll just mark it as at get mapping. So I'll just give the path here because I'll just say students, because when we hit the students URL in the UI, then the list should be displayed. Okay, let's save this. So as I explained in the previous video, let's clear the console. When I hit save, then the server will be automatically restarted. This is because of Spring Boot DevTools dependency we have added in pom.xml. Okay, now the server has restarted. I'll just say 8080. Now the server is up, and I'll say slash students. Okay. Now when I say students, it will automatically list all the students which we have added in the array list here. Okay. Same thing will be displayed here. So basically I've added one plugin, set more tools, extensions. I've added it to the Chrome, which is JSON Viewer. Awesome. You can have any other extensions. A lot of extensions are available in the Google Chrome extensions. You can have anything. Say JSON Viewer. I've installed JSON Viewer. Awesome. If I don't install this, I mean, if I disable it, your JSON will look like this. Okay, fine. For the simplicity purpose, I'll just enable this plugin and hit refresh. As you can see, we have got a list and in the JSON format. What if you want the same thing in XML format? Okay, let's go ahead and update this method to produce this. I'll just get mapping. This is path is equal to students, and I'll say producers is equal to, you can mention like media type dot XML application XML underscore value. Okay, I'll just type in this, and as you can see, server is getting restarted. Just say refresh. Okay, so it says no converter is available as of now. So basically, to convert it into XML format, you need one more dependency. So that is Json data XML. So what we'll do, we'll go to Google and type in Json data format XML Maven dependency. Okay, let's type in this. We'll go to Json data format Maven repository. I'll choose the latest version. I'll just copy this and paste it in our form.xml. Okay. I'll just format this. Control Shift F is for formatting. I'll just save this and update the project. Right click, Maven, update project. Okay. So before that, I have mentioned the version, so no need of it. As you all know, Spring Boot. So when I say Spring Boot startup parent, it will take the relevant version required. Okay. I'll be talking more about the Spring Boot in another video. Let us not waste time and Maven, update project. I'll update this. Okay, now it is updated. Let us restart the server. Run as Spring Boot app. Okay, let us go ahead and just refresh this. Control F5. See, as you can see, list item student.xml. This is in XML format. So you can have based on your request, whether you want XML format or JSON format, you can get the result. I'll show that in my next I mean, in this video only. In future, I'll show that. Okay, so we have written get mapping, which is get all students. Let us see other methods like get student by ID. Something will pass one ID and will fetch the student. Okay, that particular student from this list. Okay, I'll say public. I'll return the student itself, whichever we are finding will return the student itself. Okay, and we'll say get the student by ID. Okay, so for this we need to pass the parameter. Okay, I mean we have to pass the ID to this method to retrieve the value from the list. Okay, for that I'll just say add get mapping only. I'll say student double quotes slash student slash ID. Okay, so I'll show you how to use this in web browser. Okay, so after you do this, you have to get this ID and find this in the list, in this list. Okay, so for that, what you have to do, at path variable. So this is one more annotation. I'll say int ID. So as we are getting the ID from the URL, so I'll just make it as ID. What it will do is when you hit /student/1 in the browser, it will look for the path variable, which is this path variable, and assign it that to this ID. So basically what happens is here you have mentioned ID. You can change this ID here by using a different name you can give. Here only you can change the name. If you don't give any name, the value inside this should be exactly equal to this. Otherwise, the container will not get to know, how to map it. For example, something like this, you have ID slash something like course ID, some course ID, something like this. So here you'll have another path variable like at the rate of path variable, something like this, and say we'll say int COUR student ID, student course ID, something like that. If you do this, so and he'll say student ID here. If you do this, what happens? The container will not get to know which one to map to which one. If you use the same name here as well as the OUR ID as well as here, so then the container will get to know which one to map to which one. I mean to say what variable goes here and what variable goes here. As of now, we don't need this course ID. We'll need only the ID. I'll just remove this. Okay. So now we have got the ID. We have to find it in the list and return the student. Okay. So there are two ways you can use this. You can use the collection stream, or you can use the the old method to do this. I'll show you both. What I'll do is students dot stream dot filter. You have to give what is student, on what basis you have to do id double equals to the past id double equals to the variable which we have created here, student dot get student id. If both are equals, dot find first. When if it matches or don't, you know for example, if I search for one, it at the starting only it will match, and we need not have to find in all other items. So it will find first. If there is no student with that ID, then you have to throw exception. So throw or else throw. These are all the standard notations to uh, find a variable or find the students inside this. You go through the collection streams and you'll find how to fetch and how to insert and everything using the streams, collection streams. Okay, now I'll do this new. If it doesn't find any students for this ID, just throw uh, legal state exception, or you can write your own custom exception and throw that. I'll say illegal state exception saying student with the ID, whatever the ID is passed, I'll do that and say not found. Okay, so this is one way to do it. I can directly return, it will return the student object. Just save this and let the server restart, and I'll say localhost 8080/student. I want first student. Okay, hit enter, it will return student. Okay, so now it is in the XML format. Let us change to JSON format. I'll say path is equal to this and produces is equal to media type application underscore JSON underscore value. So basically what happens is once you include the Jackson dependency in your pom.xml, it will take XML as the default return type. If you don't specify, JSON is the default return type. Okay, I'll just change this again. Server will restart. I'll just hit enter. So as you can see, my JSON viewer is formatting this JSON, and you can see first is return. I'll change the value to 2. 2 is return. And I'll change the value to 3, and 3 is return. So as we have uh, 5 students with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'll just try to type in 6. Okay, as we don't have any student with ID 6, this will throw the illegal state exception with this message we have provided student ID with ID 6 not found. So we can handle this exception very gracefully. We can return it in the JSON format. I'll go through the exception handling in my subsequent tutorials. Okay. Okay. Now we have. So yeah, this is one way to do it. This is using streams. The other way, the old way to do it is just iterate through the list. I'll do that for you. I'll say student stu is equal to null. I'll just say for each student student colon students. So if id double equals to student dot get student id, if it is equal, what I'll do, stu is equal to student, and then I'll just break. For example, we'll iterate through each one, and if it finds, then no need to go to the next level. Okay, break. After this, what I'll do, if null double equals to stu, which means we didn't find this particular ID from the URL, the ID which we are searching for, the user is searching for. If that is the case, I'll just say throw new illegal state exception. Same thing I'll be throwing. Okay, illegal state exception semicolon. Yeah, I'll just save this. It will restart this up again. Okay, I'll just refresh this. Okay, I have not written return statement, return to. Okay, just save it. It will restart the server. I'll just start with 1. If I hit 1, 1 it is returning, and like that 5, fifth one it is returning. If it is 6, we have written a condition saying that if it doesn't find, then throw this error, something like this. In this list, we haven't find this student with the ID 6, so stu will be null. That will be throwing the exception. Okay, great. So we have get student, get all student, and let us write add student. Okay, public. I'll return the list of students because you have to see the list of students which are added, student, and I'll say add student. Okay. So here what I'll do, for adding a student, we need to fetch, we need to, pass the student object in the JSON format from the UI. So for that, what we have to do, uh, normally adding a student, we are inserting something into the list. This will be post mapping at the rate post mapping at the rate post mapping. Okay. So I'll just specify the URL slash add student, something like this. Okay. So if it is normal ID or something, if a single variable, a single string or something, we can add it as a path variable. As we have to pass in the JSON format, we have to use at the rate request body. This student, it will be returning student. Okay, now we have got the student object from the request. We have to add it to the list. So we have students list. Okay, go here, students dot add, whichever the return student, I'll be adding it here. Okay, then I'll return the students. Okay, great. So now we are done with this. Let us go and refresh it. So one thing you have to keep it in mind, only get request can be executed from the web browser. It is not that you can use only get request. You can add the plugins and Postman plugin or even SOAP UI plugin, and you can use it in browser as well. So what we'll do, we'll install the app itself. I have already installed Postman app. I'll show you how to install it. Just go to Google and say Postman. So click on Postman. You can download it from here. Once you install it, I have already installed in my machine. So I'll just say Postman. Okay, now, okay, this is my Postman. I have already some other projects running in my Postman. I'll create a new project which will say collection of requests. I'll say student API and click on create. Okay, now the student API is created. Let's close this. Now I'll add new request. What will give will use all the request. First, I'll say uh, get student, and I'll say selection this student API from here and save the selection to this. Okay, so now we have to enter the URL here. I'll just say localhost 8080 slash student. As you can see from the controller, the pattern is student ID. Okay, so student, I need to specify ID. If I give one, click on send, it will return the student in JSON format. For example, if I want this in XML format as well. So to do that, I'll say you return this in JSON format as well as XML format. And for that, what I'll say, media type dot application underscore XML underscore value. Great. Based on the request, it will return the JSON format or XML format. I'll show you how to do that. So as you can see, if I hit enter, it is returning in the JSON format. If you want this in XML format, you have to go to the headers. You have to say accept application XML. Okay, you have to add this header accept application dash XML. If you hit send, it will return in XML format. If you want in JSON format, just say JSON format. Accept basically is what kind of format we are accepting it from the server. So sometimes what happens, you know, for the better option, you add both media type JSON value or XML value. If you're sure that you're going to return only the JSON format, just leave it as JSON. Okay. Now we have written student, and we'll write another request, get request, which is request. Request means get all students, and it should go into student API. Say, I'll just copy paste this URL here. Students, just enter. Okay. Now it is returning JSON format, sorry, XML format. I'll just change this to JSON format. Okay. Come on, JSON format. Let's restart this. Okay. Now if I hit students, and I'll say in the header accepts, say JSON application slash JSON, it will return in JSON format. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us quickly go to post request, which is add. I'll say add student. So as you all know, the URL for this, say I'll go back and see what we have written. Add student. Okay, add student. I'll say add student. Okay, if I just hit enter, you might get this error like method not allowed, add student, and yeah, one more thing is we have selected get here. As this is post, we are inserting something into the list. We have to select post. Okay, so that's what the error you got it here. Request method get not supported. I've changed it to post. Say send. Okay, which says bad request because request body is missing. So what we'll do, we'll add the request body, because what I'm currently doing is we have specified at request body, we have to get the student from the request and add it to the list. Okay, so a request should be in the JSON format or an XML format. Again, you can use consumes. Here we have used produces. You can use consumes, like say consumes path is equal to this, and consumes. If you say consumes, you add a JSON value or XML value. Based on that, the request body, you can send it from the front end. Okay, as of now we'll be using only the JSON. That also I'll write if you want. Consumes, I'll say both as of now. Okay, so I can send a JSON value or XML value from the request. Okay, let us go with the JSON value. What I'll do, I'll say get student we have done, right? I'll just copy this, copy, and this is a get student. Don't confuse with it. This is a get student. I'll just close this. Yeah, save changes. Get all students, save changes. Yes. In this, what I have to do in the body, I have to, as we have mentioned, the request body, we have to add the request, the student which we want to add in the body section. In the body, I'll just copy paste, and I'll just edit few things. Student one we have already. I'll change it to 6, and I'll change it to Amar Kumar, and the age probably 80. I'll just change it to AK. Okay, now we have request body ready. I'll just hit send. Okay. Which says unsupported media type, content type is text or plain. So what it does mean is you have to tell the server that I am sending my request in this format. For that, what you have to do in the header, you have to mention, as I say, accept one thing. I'll just accept the JSON, and the content type, what you are going to send, which format you're going to send, you have to specify. As of now, we in the body we are sending it in JSON format. I'll just mention in the header content type. This content we are going to send it to server. We are telling that we are sending this to the server. We are sending in this format. Okay. Let's say JSON, as we are sending in the JSON format, we'll say JSON. Okay. Hit send. Okay. As you can see, we have added 6 students. 6 will be listed in the response. In response, what I'm currently doing is this, the whole list I'm returning. For the list, I have added whatever we have got it from the front end, and we're returning the same thing. Okay, that's great. Sixth one we have added. If you want more, you can add it. You can add like 7, and I'll just add that. TH math Sinha, I'll say 90, and yes. So if I click on send again, Amit Sinha will be added at the last. Okay, this is post mapping. So another one left out is delete. We have to delete from the list. Okay, public, again I'll be returning the complete list to understand. Student, delete student. So again, we don't need request body, whole student object we don't need. We need only ID, which we want to remove. Okay, great. So I'll say int ID. So this ID we need to fetch it from the request. What I'll say at it, this should be delete mapping, and say remove student. Let's say slash remove student slash ID. Okay, great. So ID as it is a path variable. Sorry, path variable. Yeah, we'll mention it as path variable, and we'll be passing ID. So this one we have to remove it from the list. Okay. So basically we have to iterate through the list, and we have to remove it from the list. Okay. So what we'll do, so before you remove it from the list, you have to check whether that exists in the list or not. For that, what we'll do, we'll use the same thing, or you can use the below code as well, student or something like this. So what I'll do, student is equal to same thing I'll do. I think it's return this. Probably I'll make it as 2 because we have a lot of variables. Okay, so this basically finds it in the list. For example, if I say one, it will search in this list. If it is there in the list, it will return the first student. For say, I'll say 10. If it is not there, it will throw the student with the ID not found. Okay, so now we have got the student. We have to remove this from the list. I'll say students dot remove. I'll use the same object because the same thing will be returned from the list. Okay, remove student, and I'll return the students. Okay, great. I'll save this. I'll go. I'll add one more list. So basically, new request, remove student. Okay, save. So this is not get. This should be delete. As we are deleting the user, we need to. So don't confuse with this get. I'll have to save this. After that, it will change to post. Now here we are using delete. Okay, I'll just copy paste the URL here. Let's close this. So remove student. Okay, so I'll just use URL and remove student with the ID. Okay, remove student. Which student you want to remove? Let's see. Get all students first. And we have student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 students, because once you restart the server, everything will go off. Like the only which we have declared will be there. Okay. So 5 student. I'll add one more thing, one more like post as we saw here. I'll just make it 6. Okay. I'll just send. Go back to get all students. Send. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So what I'll do in the remove student, I'll remove the 6. Say I'll remove the 6th student. Student number 6. I say send. Yeah, it is successfully executed. And you can see 6th is removed. If you want to remove one, count send. So as you can see, only we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. And you can go to get all student and see the same response here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. For instance, I'll say 10. We don't have any 10 student with a 10 student ID. I'll just say send. Now we can see Java.illegal student exception, student with the ID not found. Okay, great. I'll how to handle this exception gracefully, I'll be showing in subsequent tutorials. So yeah, uh, and what else I left out? We have seen add, delete, get student, and get student by ID, get all students, etc. So, and we have also seen how to return in JSON format, how to return in XML format, and what else is left out? Uh, yeah, so that's it, I guess. So we have covered all those things. Sorry, one more thing we left out is put mapping. So basically, put mapping and post mapping is almost similar. So basically, what happens is one thing I know is if your post is basically to create, and put is basically to create and update. Create or update. For example, if it is not found, then create it. Otherwise, you update it. So let us see. I writing post as well at the right post mapping. I'll use the same. I'll just say, I'll just copy paste. Sorry, I'm not going to write it. So I'll just say add student instead of add student. I'll say update student. Rest of the things will keep it same. I'll just change the name to update student. Yeah. So student ID. So, okay. So what we'll do now, let us see how it works. So I'll just save this. Okay. Oh, sorry. I need to change it to put mapping. I probably need to import this. Yeah, for this. Save. Now server has restarted. I'll just clear this. We'll go. We'll add. Sorry. We'll just copy this. We'll just create one more request first. Request update student. Great. Save this. I'll just copy the add student request format. So rest of the things I'll just close this. Remove student I close. I'll just save the changes. And yeah, this is add student, update student. I'll use the same URL and update student and body. I'll just copy paste. Okay, body. Just say raw and I'll just copy paste and headers. I'll have to say accept in the JSON format and content type application or JSON. We are sending in JSON format and we are expecting it to return in JSON format. Okay, that's great. We have set the headers and body. First we'll go through get all students. So currently we have only 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We'll update the student fifth. Fifth student is Evelyn Rayan, age is 50 and year at brave.java.in. So what we'll do, we'll update the student. Now we'll go to body. Which one? Fifth one. Let's copy paste it from here. Okay, copy paste, paste. So what I'll do, I'll just change the age to 100. Let's see what happens. Okay, so click on send. Request method get. We have put. I'll change the request method and I'll just save. Now you can see it is changed to put. Okay, send. Okay, so which one we have updated? Fifth one. So fifth one we have updated each to 100. Okay, great. So basically put is used to update the values. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. This is I thought to finish it in early, so it took a long time to explain each and everything. If you have any doubts, please comment and please subscribe if you like this video. And thanks for watching. Have a good day.